pretty early on in this one, you know, even the day that it got into the Highlands, we knew that it was going to be an event that was going to be beyond the grasp of what we could take care of ourselves here at Hutch Fire Department. I've never even imagined being a part of something that size in our community.
I've fought fire in several different states, and this was surprising. The speed at which it was able to move, and the fact that it was throwing spot fires almost a half a mile out in front of itself isn't something that you see in Kansas very often. Best guess estimates that I heard and that I saw myself is that fire was moving about 20 miles an hour. So that doesn't leave very much time to try to get units moved around, get out in front of it, decide where you're going to make a stand, and try to make a stand before the fire's on you. We don't like to lose on anything. We don't like to lose on a medical call. We don't like to lose on fire. We don't. And so knowing that we were retreating from a fire where we were basically writing houses off that we're going to burn because there was nothing we could do was a very tough decision.
Command got on the radio and told us that we had to go all the way back to K61 and 56. And in my mind, I'm driving away from all these houses, and I'm like, how can you possibly let us leave all these structures? But it turns out that at that point, we had to get that far ahead of the fire to where we had to make that decision. So it was very difficult for me to drive away and abandon it, but I didn't know the big picture at that time. So.
But the four houses that I distinctly remember that we were making a stand on by trying to defend the house around with water and trying to light backfires around the house, when we retreated to go back to 56th, I knew for sure that those four houses were gone. I thought the next day we were going to drive back up in there and those four houses were going to be burnt, and those four houses were all still there.
I hope that everybody realizes, after seeing what happened, starts looking into the Firewise program and find a way to put defensible space around their house.
Chief started assigning us to different tasks and stuff like that. And it seemed like as soon as we rolled up to the fire, it was like people were already there. We had volunteers there. I mean, we were not the first ones to get there.
We had several other departments from the state that brought structural engines down and were sitting in our stations taking calls for the city and protecting the city to allow our guys to be able to rest and not have to worry about doing that.
You know, we didn't do this alone. Lots of volunteers, lots of departments that we've never even heard of showed up, and hopefully, you know, those communities are giving the same support to their individuals. But it's been almost overwhelming how many people, you know, especially little kids, run out to the street and they want you to honk the air horn or whatever the case is. But it has been good.
We got assigned a structure that night, and we went back down the driveway, and it was at least a quarter-mile long driveway. And we got back there. It wasn't really defensible. It was somewhat defensible. The cedar trees were really close to the building, but it was a metal building, so we were making preparations. There was already a unit there, and making preparations to defend that structure. And at that point, I looked down the driveway. We weren't involved in fire where we were at yet, but the whole driveway was. And I'm on a structural engine that has to stay on a road and it can't pump and roll. So we were stuck. We were cut off from the road by the fire, and we were going to have to stay there and defend it or find a way to ride it out. And then that evacuation, that retreat to 56 kind of got canceled. 10 minutes later, got called on again, and at that point, we were able to make it down the driveway, and we were able to go ahead and pick up what we could and leave, knowing that house might not make it by the time this is all said and done. We went back at 7 o'clock the next morning to pick up our hose that we left there. We left in a hurry such a hurry that we didn't pick up very much of our hose, and we went back to pick up our hose and take some of the things. We pulled some keepsakes from the house, anticipating that house was going to go up, and the house was still standing.
I felt my lap getting hot. I had my window down, and I couldn't figure out why my lap was hot, and I had two big embers somehow got in the truck with me and were on my lap. And I could only imagine what my captain was going through on the back.
That next day, when we're trying to hit hot spots, and we're still out in the field, and we would see something go up, see a large column of smoke. You know, you'd see everybody trying to head that way, and we'd all be talking on the radio. Pretty soon you'd see this Black Hawk come in and just take care of it. So it was very impressive to see them, I mean, just constantly flying around and making our job a lot easier, especially something like that was going to take multiple resources when we were already assigned another task.
If we can put a fire on the ground that's backing away and burning against the wind, and we can give enough, take away the fuel enough where we want it to stop, then the fire, when the head fire hits that area, it doesn't have as much intensity. And it will hopefully, it runs out of fuel basically. We're taking the fuel away from it under a controlled setting so that it doesn't come through so intense and so fast and overrun our lines. Probably the longest line of fire we'd ever put down prior to that was about a half a mile. And this was a coordinated effort to put down almost 4 miles of fire. So it was a very larger scale than what we've ever done.
I want to say we had 50 trucks lining 56th and another 50 lining 61. Without all those units there, it would have just crossed 56th across the highway. So
All the grass out in that territory had grown up really tall from all the moisture last year, so we knew we had a lot of fuel in front of us.
a lot of the places where there's typically a buildup of fuels and in the urban interface area, it's already been taken care of with the big fires. And not to say that that fire is a good thing for that reason, but looking forward to the next fire season, that has happened.
And like you said, Mother Nature is always going to take its course. We're going to have another bad year. It's bound to come. Just hopefully not in any of our careers again.
To me, it's our job. I mean, this is what we do, and I'm very grateful, and like I said, humbled, very humbled to have all that brought in front of me and the support. And people have been knocking on the fire station door, bringing all sorts of treats and stuff, and I mean, it's nice. And I mean, but we're here all year, 24/7, and it's just what we do, and we like doing it.
Even when it does kick us pretty hard and beat us down pretty bad over a few days, we still love our job, and we still come in the next day no matter what.